Bible in a Year Life, Chronological Project, Week 21, Day 4, New American Standard Bible. Solomon turns from God. Now King Solomon loved many foreign women, along with the daughter of Pharaoh, Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, Sidonian, and Hittite women, from the nations of which the Lord had said to the sons of Israel, "You shall not associate with them, nor shall they associate with you. They will certainly turn your hearts away to follow their gods." Solomon clung to these in love. He had 700 wives who were princesses and 300 concubines, and his wives turned his heart away. For when Solomon was old, his wives turned his heart away to follow other gods, and his heart was not wholly devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of his father David had been. For Solomon became a follower of Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and of Milcom, the abhorrent idol of the Ammonites. So Solomon did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and did not follow the Lord fully, as his father David had done. Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abhorrent idol of Moab, on the mountain that is east of Jerusalem, and for Melech, the abhorrent idol of the sons of Ammon. He also did the same for all his foreign wives, who burned incense and sacrifices to their gods. Now the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice, and had commanded him regarding this thing that he was not to follow other gods, but he did not comply with what the Lord had commanded. So the Lord said to Solomon, "Since you have done this, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will certainly tear the kingdom away from you, and will give it to your servant. However, I will not do it in your days, only for the sake of your father David, but I will tear it away from the hand of your son. Yet I will not tear away all of the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to your son, for the sake of my servant David, and for the sake of Jerusalem which I have chosen." God raises adversaries. Then the Lord raised up an adversary against Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the royal line in Edom. For it came about, when David was in Edom, and Moab the commander of the army had gone up to bury those killed in battle, and had struck and killed every male in Edom, for Moab and all Israel stayed there for 6 months, until he had eliminated every male in Edom, that Hadad fled to Egypt, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, while Hadad was a young boy. They set out for Midian, and came to Paran, and they took men with them from Paran, and came to Egypt, to Pharaoh king of Egypt, who gave him a house, and assigned him food, and gave him land. Now Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him in marriage the sister of his own wife, the sister of Taphanes, the queen. The sister of Taphanes gave birth to his son Genubath, whom Taphanes weaned in Pharaoh's house. And Genubath was in Pharaoh's house among the sons of Pharaoh. But when Hadad heard in Egypt that David lay down with his fathers, and that Joab the commander of the army was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, "Let me go, so that I may go to my own country." However, Pharaoh said to him, "But what have you lacked with me, that you are here requesting to go to your own country?" And he answered, "Nothing. Nevertheless, you must let me go." God also raised up another adversary against him, Rezon, the son of Eliada, who had fled from his master Hadadezer, king of Zobah. And he gathered men to himself, and became leader of a marauding band, after David killed those of Zobah. And they went to Damascus, and stayed there, and reigned in Damascus. So he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, along with the harm that Hadad inflicted, and he fell to disgust for Israel, and reigned over Aram. Then Jeroboam, son of Nebat, a Ephraimite of Zeradah, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruah, a widow, also rebelled against the king. Now this was the reason why he rebelled against the king. Solomon built the Millo, and closed up the breach of the city of his father David. Now the man Jeroboam was a valiant warrior, and when Solomon saw that the young man was industrious, he appointed him over all the forced labor of the house of Joseph. And it came about at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him on the road. Now Ahijah had clothed himself with a new cloak, and both of them were alone in the field. Then Ahijah took hold of the new cloak which was on him, and tore it into 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, "Take for yourself 10 pieces, for this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Behold, I am going to tear the kingdom away from the hand of Solomon, and give you 10 tribes. But he shall have one tribe for the sake of my servant David, and for the sake of Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen from all the tribes of Israel. Because they have abandoned me, and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moab, and Milcom, the god of the sons of Ammon, and they have not walked in my ways, doing what is right in my sight, and keeping my statutes and my ordinances, as his father David did. Nevertheless, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him ruler all the days of his life, for the sake of my servant David, whom I chose, who kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom from his son's hand, and give it to you, that is, 10 tribes. But to his son I will give 1 tribe, so that my servant David may always have a lamp before me in Jerusalem, the city where I have chosen for myself to put my name. However, I will take you, and you will reign over all that you desire, and you shall be king over Israel. Then it shall be that if you listen to all that I command you, and walk in my ways, and do what is right in my sight, by keeping my statutes and my commandments, as my servant David did, then I will be with you and build you an enduring house as I built for David, and I will give Israel to you. So I will oppress the descendants of David for this, but not always. Solomon sought therefore to put Jeroboam to death. But Jeroboam set out and fled to Egypt, to Shishka, king of Egypt, and he was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. The death of Solomon. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, and whatever he did, and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? So the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. Then Solomon lay down with his fathers, and was buried in the city of his father David, and his son Rehoboam reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, from the first to the last, are they not written in the records of Nathan the prophet, in the prophecy of Ahijah the Shilonite, and in the visions of Edo the seer concerning Jeroboam the son of Nebat? Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel for 40 years. And Solomon lay down with his fathers, and was buried in the city of his father David, and his son Rehoboam reigned in his place. The futility of all endeavors. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Futility of futilities, says the preacher. Futility of futilities, all is futility. What advantage does a person have in all his work, which he has done under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. Also, the sun rises and the sun sets, and hurrying to its place, it rises there again. Blowing toward the south, then turning toward the north, the wind continues swirling along, and on its circular courses, the wind returns. All the rivers flow into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place where the rivers flow, there they flow again. All things are wearisome, no one can tell it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor is the ear filled with hearing. What has been, it is what will be, and what has been done, it is what will be done. So there is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one might say, "See this, it is new"? It has already existed for ages which were before us. There is no remembrance of the early things, and of the later things as well, which will occur. There will be no remembrance of them among those who will come later still.